Now turn up.
What up, is Marcus with Dynasty Fun Dads. We have a Jerry Jeudy signed free jersey. All you have to do is be a subscriber for a chance to win. When we hit 1,000, we'll be giving that away to one of you guys. I'm a little sweaty. I just went for a run. It is hot outside. It's a little hazy here up in Minnesota. But why I am doing this video is because I think this is a very, very important time, especially if your rookie draft is in a month here, a couple weeks here, or in a week here. I think the biggest strategy, the one that I recommend doing the most, is draft best player available, and I'm gonna talk about why, and trade for need. Why that is so important is because when you start reaching for players, and I think there's some huge question marks upon two running backs in questions, and that is Trey Sermon and Michael Carter. I think there's some big questions for both of those players, and if you're going to start reaching for those players, because teams are going to be like, hey, I need a running back. Or in the other case, like if you desperately need a tight end and you're trying to pick Kyle Pitts 102 because that's your only first round pick, that is going to leave you into a potential problem. Or even if you're at like 109 and you really, really desperately need a quarterback and you're getting Trevor Lawrence. Superflex, it makes it even more complicated because you're needing more positions. And if you desperately need a running back and you're at 102, then you're going to likely try to reach for Najee Harris instead of doing the decision of trying to trade for a running back and then drafting Wilson, Lance, Fields, which I think is a better route. And so some of the things I have been doing lately is I have been trading for that need. I have picked like 108, and I am in a situation where I need a running back. I desperately need a running back, just like almost every other team does in that league, it feels like. And so I desperately need a running back. So what am I doing? I am trying to take I have 222 first. I have other players. I am trying to package and get a running back. So I'm either trying to trade up to, and in some cases, 108 and a 2022 first or 22 capital to try and move up. That's kind of failed. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get probably a top 3 pick, top 4 pick to get a running back. So the other situations is like, okay, well, how do I get a David Montgomery, a Miles Sanders, or how do I get another running back to try to get on my roster? So a lot of the players I've even seen in competitive teams is I've seen Kamara been moved. I've seen Zeke be moved. Like some of these older running backs that have still a year, 2 years left, I think 2 years left on their tank. And those are some potential possibilities too to look when you're contending. If you like, hey, I really need a running back, that's a good, like, if you got a top 10 running back for 2 straight years out of any running back in this draft, like Javonte Williams or Travis Etienne or even Najee Harris, you'd be pretty happy. And then maybe you got an RB2 for a year and then maybe an RB3 or 4 for a year. You'd probably go, oh, that's probably pretty decent. And that's probably what you're going to get from Kamara. That's probably what you're going to get from Zeke. You're going to have kind of this LaShawn McCoy kind of outlook. And so drafting for best player available is so incredibly important. And then trading for need, I think, is the best, one of the best strategies. And why best player available doesn't mean best talent. It sometimes means what is the most talent. There's a combination: talent, demand, what's going to have the most value just in general with everyone else too. So let's say you're not, like, if you just based on talent, then Trevor Lawrence would be like the 101 even in one QB, which doesn't make sense because the demand is so low for QBs and the value for quarterbacks to other teams is actually low. So you have low, but then you have talent high. So that makes him a later first round pick. For running backs, their demand is so high, their volatility is so high, and their value is so high. But yet maybe their talent might be a little bit less. And that's why I have, let's say, Travis Etienne over Jamar Chase or Javonte Williams over Chase, because Chase, his talent is more. But the demand for wide receivers is a little bit less, and the value for wide receivers is slightly less as well compared to running backs in many situations. Look at the dynasty startups. Most of the startups, you're having these big running backs go first, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for these league-winning type players because no one wants to get 4th or 3rd. You're looking to win the championship. And so that leads me to the point of right now, you're looking to trade for that need now. Look at some veterans that may be devalued. The Amari Coopers, the Allen Robinsons, even the Cortland Suttons, he's not a veteran, the Keenan Allens. Look at these players that I've traded Amari Cooper. Just literally, I got Amari Cooper for like a second. And I was like, I could draft a Amari Rodgers. I could draft I think it was mid-second, so I could draft probably not even Terrace Marshall. I could probably draft somebody along those lines that a Diami Brown or some. I could draft a wide Amon-Ra St. Brown. I could draft one of those type of tier wide receivers, or I could take Amari Cooper for a couple of years and just have a wide receiver too. Like, I'm going to easily do that trade, especially in a contending team. And even if I wasn't contending, that's where you even have a rebuild and you go, whatever, I'll just take Amari Cooper. And when a team starts falling these injuries, then I'm just going to flip him for a 5 to probably 30% profit, maybe even more. So you're buying because you know the value is going to be higher in the future, because Amari Cooper's a really good wide receiver. I think people love CeeDee Lamb and they forget, hey, Amari Cooper had over 1,100 yards last year. And last year, had over 1,100 yards last year. You have a guy who in 17 games could have 1,200 yards in back-to-back seasons. Let's say 1,200 yards this season, and maybe 8-9 touchdowns. Like, that's easily within the realm of possibilities with Dak. Dak might throw for 7 million yards. So look at these moves to buy some veterans now. I saw Kamara move in almost every league that I'm in. I've seen Zeke move in almost every league I'm in. I've seen Henry starting to move. Like, the Henry talks are now going. It's these big running backs are really starting to move, but some of these wide receivers are moving as well too. Keenan Allen, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper. So, like, start looking at these players, especially if you're in contending mode, or if you just have a late second, late third. Start packaging these seconds. Like, hey, I'll give you two seconds, 3 seconds, whatever for these players, or a second and a third. Like, these are. It's just something to throw out there. Like, hey, I'm going to give you all this stuff. If you're in it's at least worth a chance, because I was like, man, I'm willing to give up a couple seconds for Amari Cooper. That's easy. I'd probably be willing to give up more than that. And I literally just threw out a second, and I was like, yeah, what about this? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so, like, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you throw them a second, they're like, I would like a first this year and next year. And you're like, okay, well, our values are slightly different in opinion. So this is the time to buy veterans right now. It's to buy it before this draft hits, before even before the league start. Basically, I mean, preseason starts here soon. So before the preseason starts. So if anything, start looking at your roster, trading for your needs now, knowing what picks you have and what you're going to get with those picks. Because if you have an early or super early pick in one QB, you're looking at running back. If you have a mid to late, you're probably looking at a wide receiver, maybe Kyle Pitts if he sneaks down a little bit lower. But you're looking at probably a wide receiver, because I am drafting the Batemans, the Moores over and the Waddles over Sherman and Michael Carter. But if you feel you love those players, then know that you're probably going to draft one of those players in that specific spot, if it's 108 or 109, and then trade for a wide receiver need if you need a wide receiver or something along those lines. Just put down what you think you're that position player. Don't concrete yourself into that position, but have ideas of what you're going to do there. So again, this is Marcus Dynasty Fun Dads. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully I won't be sweaty after my run. Peace out. See ya.
Now turn up.